little witness there. What's sin? What are you repenting of? Things that are wrong was the answer. But of course, in the Christian tradition, it's not simply according to what I think might be right or wrong, or even the prevailing culture thinks is right or wrong. The question is trying to work out what Jesus thinks is right or wrong, for he is the true arbiter of the moral life. It's not always easy, but there's perhaps more clarity than I like to think. The temptation to decide for myself, to inform my own conscience, instead of allowing the word of Christ and his will to form who I am and what I think is the right way to live. Do not be tempted by such things. Keep guard of yourself. And Jesus says, when you see another who is not living up to the example of Christ, you may rebuke, though surely sparingly, but more importantly, you must forgive. Be on your guard against an unforgiving spirit, Jesus said. And in that text he says, you must forgive at 7 times. And then later, of course, when Peter is feeling rather aggrieved that he has to forgive quite a lot, how many times do I have to forgive? 70 times 7, says Jesus. Keep forgiving. That is not the same as letting bygones be bygones. Forgiveness is costly. It is a costly activity and relies on grace to forgive what is beyond what is reasonable. Keep guard over yourself and any unforgiving spirit that lies within. And then a bit further on, and there aren't too many more, by the way, just again further on, Jesus says, and he's talking about these Pharisees that are walking around looking like $1 million, wearing long robes. I'm a sort of visual aid. Well, I hope I'm not walking around, sort of saying, hey, look at me. After all, any priest could wear these. Any priest. They're not mine. Many possess it. And what's Jesus saying then? Beware of that. Beware of wandering around as if you are the centre of the world and ought to be the centre of everybody's attention. Excuse me, here I am, I've arrived. Acting as if you're the centre of the world. All right. Of course, there's a natural tendency, because I'm looking at you, and the danger would be that the only way of seeing you is from my perspective. It won't do. I've got to look at things with more eyes than my own. Do not strut around as if the world owes you a living. As if the world should stop because you've arrived. That's what Jesus says. And there was a great Archbishop of Canterbury who once said, during the Second World War, he said this world will be saved from political crisis by one thing only: worship. An extraordinary claim. What's he mean? He means that in worship, human beings do the great thing. They seek to move from self-centeredness to God-centeredness. That is the journey of worship. And it's why, in not too many minutes' time, I will sing, "Lift up your hearts beyond simply yourself, with your brothers and sisters, to the Lord. And it's not easy to get lift off. Lift up your hearts. Lord, deliver me from self-centeredness. Lindsay, keep guard. This is the word that Jesus uses. Keep watch over yourself. And then, of course, in our gospel this morning, be careful lest your life be dissipated, diluted by the cares of this world. Don't let this world, with all its cares, blind you to eternity and the great hope and the great destiny that is the promise for all of us. Live as if you're going to live forever. And then in Acts, Gamaliel was one of those people when the Christians emerged on the scene and were preaching and turning the world upside down by talking about the resurrection of Jesus, and people wanted to put them down and destroy them, banish them. Gamaliel, a godly man, says, hold on a minute, keep watch over yourself, lest you make an incorrect judgment. That's what these people say is true. Imagine for a moment that your opinion is not the only one worth hearing. Keep watch over yourself, lest you are banishing something that is true from the way things are, because your own vision of the truth is too small. Keep watch. And then finally, Luke uses the same word in his 20th chapter of the Acts of the Apostles, when he talks to the elders of the church and says, pay attention to yourself and all your flock. Take care and be realistic about the devil and the powers of evil. Which is why when people are baptized and confirmed as they were in Friday's church, they're asked, do you reject Satan and all his works? Not that there are two gods battling it out, but reject the forces of evil, which then overtake and will pursue you if you seek to live a faithful life. But thanks be to God that his love is always greater than the power of evil. Why? Because the devil did not make you. The devil does not love you. He is a people snatcher. The power of evil steals, is a thief, taking that which does not belong. But we have a Redeemer whose love is greater. Keep guard about the wiles of the devil and the forces of evil. But as you do, trust to the one who loves you eternally. Keep watch. Oh, and you may have noticed if you were reading the text that I added a verse. I'm allowed to do that. I didn't make the verse up. It comes next in the Bible. Because it says after Jesus said these things, he was in the temple. This is just before his death, towards the end of the gospel. And it says that Jesus was in the temple teaching, and then at night, every night, he went to the Mount of Olives to pray. Until I was reflecting about this yesterday, or the day before, whatever day it was, I'd never noticed that verse. Jesus teaching, And then every night he goes to the place, to the olive trees, where he will be betrayed, where he will be given over into the hands of wicked people, where one of his disciples will kiss him with the betrayer's kiss. And as if to prepare himself for what will happen on that fateful and terrible night, he goes in advance to pray, to make himself familiar, to remind himself that in reality he will find in that garden the loving presence of his Father. What a beautiful gospel. He wants you to pray.